Greetings. Today I want to speak on something a little bit different from usual, and that would be about the recent conflict that has been taking place and still ongoing between Russia and Ukraine. And I'm going to speak to you concerning common sense, economics, and that particular conflict. And the reason why I choose to do this is because I live in the Caribbean and I grew up in the Caribbean, and I would have heard all the Caribbean political leaders speak on the subject in terms of total condemnation towards Russia and Putin. And I decided to give my 2 cents in terms of sharing with you how important it is to understand the economics of every war and how you have to use your common sense instead of just listening to your political leaders, who most of the time they are just puppets. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna leave you to make your own decision concerning what I'm going to say. Now, there are many people who have spoken, and they will have leave the idea in many people's mind who are unaware of what is happening and who are uninformed that Putin is like a demon or like a Hitler, or in other words, they try to demonize him. But I'm going to ask you this question, and you have to decide for yourself, okay? Do you think that Putin's action is an arrogant one, or do you think that Putin is actually a wise man? Now, if you're listening to me, and let's say you live in a country like America, I just want you to think and use your common sense. If you're living in America and you get to realize that North Korea is having certain discussion with a certain Caribbean island like Cuba, or if Russia or if China is having certain discussion to do certain projects and to build certain bases there. I'm speaking about like a military base in Cuba. Would you just sit back and say, well, we are a Christian nation, all we got to do is pray? Or do you think that your president will just sit back and lap his foot and say, well, you know, we are a godly nation, we believe in God we trust, we are a Christian nation, we're just gonna pray about it? Are they gonna take certain measures? Also, when it comes to this Ukraine and Russia conflict, you have to think about NATO and what is their motive. Also, you have to think about the wealth of Ukraine and its proximity to Russia. Also, you got to take in mind what was once known as the USSR, which is the Union of Soviet Social Republic, and how strong it was and what would have taken place and make them become divided, and how much you need to safeguard your borders. Also, you have to think about the minerals, the gases, all the precious things of wealth and economics that is there in Ukraine, and what benefit it is to Russia and what benefit it is to NATO and to the rest of the West. These are things you have to question. That is why it is very important for you to have common sense. Okay? Also, you have to ask yourself if you are living in Georgia. Okay? If you are living very close to the borders of Ukraine. If you are living in places like Belarus and so on, what your action would have been and who you would have support. Also, you have to think about what took place in Vietnam, what took place in even our Caribbean island Grenada in around 1984. So you could check out the invasion of Grenada, okay, and all of that. Then you have to think, I think I would have, no, if I haven't mentioned Afghanistan, you have to think about what happened in Afghanistan and what happened in Iraq. And I could remember quite vividly how the Caribbean governments also had condemned Saddam Hussein when he invaded Kuwait. But we see when Iraq was invaded, they wasn't condemning. Okay? And when we think about all the other places that were invaded and the things that was done by countries that claim to be part of NATO, there's a lot that left to be desired. So, you're the one who have to use your common sense and you have to ask yourself if this man is a madman, an arrogant man, or a wise man. And we have to be wise people, we have to be free thinkers, and we have to be able to express ourselves instead of just condemning others just like that without giving any justification for our condemnation. You know, there's a saying that Pat cannot tell kettle that its body is black. And there's another saying that if you live in a glass house, don't ever throw stone when you live in a glass house. So, my brother, my sisters, you have to decide for yourself. Because the news is out there to spread a lot of propaganda and to play with your mind. You see, sometimes some people want to walk around like there's a big bad bully and they could do anything and no one can sanction them, no one can do anything to them because they're the big bad bully. They are the world power. But I'm saying to you, you have to learn to think for yourself when these things are happening. As for the religious people, they will say these are the last days and the fulfillment of prophecy. And they will continue to speak all these things into being so negative without using proper thinking. And they would only listen to what their puppet political leaders tell them. But you who are listening to me, you're listening to me because you are free thinkers. Think for yourself. Every war is a business. And these prime ministers and presidents, let me call them kings and queens, them and their family, they are never in the battle, physically speaking. They're not the ones going to the battle. The soldiers, those who been indoctrinated, the soldiers, the ones who have prepared themselves to be sacrificed, they are the ones who go and sacrifice themselves and fight a senseless war. So my brother, my sisters, I'm not for war. I am for peace. And I'm saying to you, real true wealth is within you. And the greatest wealth is actually your common sense. Use it. And don't let the news or the propaganda tools think for you. You learn to think for yourself. So with that being said, my brother, my sister, I want to say peace. Love you all. I'm out.